Satoru Gojo, the precipice of power and the white-haired anime character that everyone in pop culture nowadays knows and recognizes. Gojo is easily the strongest sorcerer of his entire era, and despite the fact that he appears to be a happy-go-lucky character all the time, it has to be lonely at the top, right? Join me as I cover his life and legend, and I determine who really is Satoru Gojo. Let's start this off at the beginning, Gojo's birth. See, the birth of Satoru was not just the normal celebration of the birth of a child. Gojo was born into a role of the strongest being on the earth. He instantly shifted the power dynamic of the entire world. A sorcerer born with his abilities instantly sent cursed users and cursed spirits into hiding, even to the point where a bounty was put on Gojo's head as a child. So, why did this happen, you may ask? The Gojo clan possess several latent abilities that manifest in their children whenever they're born, most notably the Six Eyes and Limitless techniques. While Limitless alone is very powerful, the Six Eyes allow for the mastery of it, so when you put the two together, you get an insanely overpowered sorcerer. Satoru was born with both, so therefore he is an insanely overpowered sorcerer. Oh yeah, and he was the first member of the clan born in over 400 years with both of these abilities. Now while this combination basically made him a special grade sorcerer from the very moment he gained consciousness as a young toddler, it wasn't until he mastered another special technique that he became the honored one, and we're going to talk about that later. Now at one point during Gojo's childhood, he ran into Toji Fushiguro, who had come to see if Gojo was all that everybody hyped him up to be. Toji said that although Gojo was only a child, he was the first and last to ever sense his presence standing behind him. As we know, Toji has zero cursed energy thanks to his heavenly restriction. With no cursed energy, he has the same presence as an inanimate object standing behind him, like a rock or a tree or something. There's no cursed energy there. No sorcerer could actually tell that Toji was a person. For Gojo to recognize him as a child was absolutely incredible, and it allowed Toji to start preparing for the day that he would inevitably meet Gojo in battle. Now the next time we chronologically see Gojo is whenever he's at Tokyo High, and he's one of two special grade sorcerers there, along with his best friend, Suguru Geto. They have an ideological battle. Gojo thinks that saving pathetic weak humans is a waste of time, but Geto says that that's exactly what Jujutsu is for. These philosophies are very important for the story going forward, so keep them in your mind. Oh yeah, and just for a second, imagine you're in Principal Yaga's shoes, so you're like the teacher of Gojo and Geto. You're teaching the most powerful sorcerer in the world, and for some reason he thinks that saving people is a waste of time. That is a scary position to be in right there. I mean, Gojo could go off the deep end at any time and Yaga could do nothing about it. Anyway, now Gojo and Geto go on their mission to protect Riko Amanai until her merger with Tengen. They fight off two different groups of religious zealots and bounty hunters until they eventually return on the third day to Tokyo High to finish the merger. After being on guard for the entirety of the mission, Gojo finally lets his abilities down once he gets inside the walls of Tokyo High, where it should be safe. Toji uses this split second to stab him, and he begins one of the best fights in modern anime. Gojo unleashes his special attack Blue, which is basically his only special attack at this point. He instantly activates his infinity back up, but it doesn't matter. Toji's presence is completely masked, and he uses his inverted spear of heaven, which has the ability to nullify any curse technique in existence, to stab straight through Gojo's infinity into Gojo, effectively killing him. As Gojo lay there dying, he mastered reverse curse technique, which allowed him to heal himself back from the brink of death. Aside from healing himself, reverse curse technique also allows him to master red, and in turn purple, because purple is the combination of red and blue. This has to do with reverse curse technique's ability to change negatively charged cursed energy into positively charged energy. I won't go into depth on that right now, but I will link my video explaining how all of this works at the end of the video. Now Gojo absolutely snaps and he confronts Toji. Gojo is high on his own power, floating in the air in a basically manic state, and he proclaims that throughout the heaven and the earth, he alone is the honored one. He proceeds to use his newfound powers of red and purple to utterly demolish Toji Fushiguro. Toji's last words were his own way of asking Gojo to take in his son so that he wouldn't have to live the same life that Toji did under the Zenins. And Toji died. Gojo, who had mastered red, blue, purple, and the Six Eyes so that he would never have to deactivate his technique again, was left the victor. He just conquered the one and only challenge in his entire life up to this point, and it made him 10 times stronger in the process. Now Gojo and Geto come across a large group of people that are responsible for Riko's death, and Gojo wants to massacre them all, but Geto stops him, saying that it would be completely wrong for Jujutsu sorcerers to do such a thing. There's that philosophy again coming into play. Now a year goes by and Gojo has absolutely left Geto in the dust in terms of power. He's just way stronger. This weighed heavily on Geto, and his isolation from everyone else around him just led to him snapping snapping, kind of like Gojo did earlier, but in a bad way. Geto begins to see the world in the way that Gojo had before. He believed non-sorcerers were not worthy of protecting, and he even called them monkeys. He believed in a world where no curses exist, and his way of doing this would be to get rid of humans who cause curses to spawn. Normal humans, that is, because Jujutsu sorcerers don't let this happen. It has to do with cursed energy leakage and stuff. After the death of Yuhabara and the horrible mistreatment of two little girls who could use cursed energy happens, Geto snaps. Again, he goes on a killing spree and officially ostracizes himself from the rest of Jujutsu society. Gojo's best friend, and the only other man who could truly understand what it was like to wield such immense power that you're in a league all of your own, was now Gojo's #1 enemy. They meet up in public, which was strategic on Geto's part so that Gojo couldn't use his techniques to kill him and stuff, and they discuss their new outlooks on life. Geto poses Gojo a question that becomes the question that Gojo ponders for the rest of his life. Are you Satoru Gojo because you're the strongest? Or are you the strongest because you're Satoru Gojo? Gojo's entire identity is tied to the fact that he is the strongest. If he wasn't the strongest, would he really be himself? Would he really be Gojo? These are the questions that Gojo asks himself on a daily basis. At this point, Geto tells Gojo that if he was Gojo, if he was the strongest in the world, his plan of eliminating all non-sorcerers so that curses would not exist anymore would be possible. Geto leaves and Gojo thinks on this for a little bit. It's true, but it makes Gojo realize something else about being the strongest. No matter how strong Gojo is, he can only save those who want to be saved. And at this point, he can't even save his best friend. Right after this moral breaking point, he finds a ray of light that he really needs at this exact moment. He finds and takes in young Megami and serves as his mentor and father figure, since, you know, he killed Toji, his dad. This saved Gojo from himself, in my opinion. He easily could have gone off the rails and become an actual dictator because he had the power. Unlike Geto though, he had a shining light that was the next generation that was guiding his actions. Much later, Gojo's pitted against his best friend one final time. During the night parade of 100 demons, Geto sought to kill Gojo's new student, special grade sorcerer Yuta Okatsu, so that he could capture his partner cursed spirit Rika Orimoto. Geto straight up loses this fight to Yuta, but Yuta doesn't kill him. Left wounded very badly, Gojo eventually catches up to Geto. Knowing it was the end for him, Geto tells Gojo that despite all of his previous actions and his hatred for non-sorcerers, they were still bros. Gojo then has to do the hardest thing that a man can do. He puts Geto out of his misery, officially extinguishing the life of the only true friend he ever had. Somehow, Gojo remains the optimistic individual that he always had been. Either Gojo is a complete sociopath who doesn't experience human emotions at all, which I don't agree with, or he truly believes that Geto dying is a better alternative than him roaming the streets as the most dangerous terrorist in the world. I think the second was more likely because we have seen Gojo experience emotions before, even shedding tears over Geto. He goes on to teach and protect all the new sorcerers of the new generation because that's what he made his life mission. Gojo puts himself in the way of both Yuta and Yuji's executions because he believed them both to be innocent. Because they were. He continues this life as a teacher and as the rock that the foundations of the Jujutsu Society rest on until Shibuya. Geto's body has been taken over by an ancient entity that we don't know that much about in the anime, so I'm not going to spoil it. But him, along with Jogo, Mahito, and several other cursed spirits, come up with a plan to take Gojo out of the equation. They lay siege to Shibuya on Halloween night, and using people as a cover so that Gojo can't truly unleash his abilities, they manipulate him into doing exactly what they want. See, Gojo believes people are worth saving, but he's also a realist. His strategies don't involve saving everyone, just saving those that can be saved while still allowing for him to win. Under any other circumstances, Gojo would have easily defeated all of these evil characters. As it was, Pseudo Geto had just enough time to activate the prison realm around Gojo, sealing him. Before Gojo was sealed though, Pseudo Geto revealed his body to Gojo so that he would be shocked by this appearance of his best friend. Gojo was shocked, and the disrespect to him and Geto's body is just immense here. I just can't stand it. It makes me very mad. But anyway, Gojo's then sealed. The Jujutsu world will inevitably crumble around this because Gojo has been the foundation on which they rest for a long time. I said that earlier in the video, but if you're anime only, skip to the last section because we're gonna get into spoilers now. Now, the balance of power completely shifts in Gojo's absence. His teacher Yaga is killed, and the bad guys basically take over Japan. Also, Sukuna switches from Yuji's body to Megami's body, which will probably upset Gojo because Megami is basically his his son. After 2 years worth of manga for us, or I don't exactly remember, like 19 days or something like that, Gojo's finally unsealed by Yuji and the crew. Contrary to popular belief by the characters in Jujutsu Kaisen, Gojo has not gone evil and he's not lost any of his strength. Time wasn't even really passing for him there. He immediately prepares to fight Sukuna. When this fight starts, absolute chaos breaks loose. Things we didn't even know were possible are achieved in this fight. Gojo and Sukuna are on such a different power level than every other character in Jujutsu Kaisen that other characters like Yuta Akatsu, who is special grade himself, doesn't even know what's going on. Gojo had complete confidence going into this fight, and he looks like he's gonna win it until he doesn't. Gojo makes one mistake, which is something he really hadn't done since Toji. He didn't account for the single slash attack that Sukuna can use thanks to the adaptation of Maharaga. This is complicated, but if you've read it, you know what I mean. Gojo gets sliced in half, and as far as we know, he's dead. Like, for real this time. After an entire life of perfection, of having no equal, he finally meets someone stronger than him in battle. Gojo's now sent to the afterlife of Jujutsu Kaisen, or it's a dream that's still up in the air because we've only had one chapter since then. Anyway, he finds all of his dead homies. Geto, Nanami, Haibara, Riko, Misato, even Toji and Yaga. Geto asks Gojo what happened, and Gojo says that he fought Sukuna and he lost, and he didn't even make Sukuna use his full power. Now this part is hard for me to believe as a reader because Gojo kinda had Sukuna on the ropes the entire fight, but I digress. Gojo then goes into his feelings and how he and Sukuna related on the level of solitude that they felt due to their status as the greatest sorcerers of their eras. He makes an analogy comparing all humans around him to flowers. He says that you can admire a flower's blooms and help it grow, but you can never ask that flower to understand you. Just the same, nobody could ever understand Gojo because nobody understood what it was like to live at the level that he lived at. Surprisingly, Gojo's only regret in life is that he couldn't go all out against Sukuna and show Sukuna that he, unlike anyone else in the world, understood what it was like to live at that level, like that flower. So to answer the question, who really is Satoru Gojo? He is a man unlike any other, who despite living in a world completely different from all those around him, clings to the good and remains hopeful and idealistic for all time. This deep dive into Gojo's character has made me love and respect him even more than I already did, which I didn't even think was possible. And if you feel the same, I think you need to check out this video right here covering Gojo's powers and how all of them work. Until next time, peace.